The devil never truly left the runway. She's just been waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. Almost 2 decades ago, The Devil Wears Prada gave us one of the most unforgettable portraits of power, ambition, and fashion at its sharpest edge. And now, whispers are growing, louder rumors of a sequel, a continuation, a return to the icy stare of Miranda Priestly. But the question is, if Miranda comes back, will the world of fashion still bow to her? Or has the game completely changed? It's hard to forget the opening moments of The Devil Wears Prada. The film wasn't just a story about an assistant drowning in designer chaos. It was a window into a glamorous yet merciless universe, where power was measured not just by money or influence, but by style, authority, and the ability to command a room without saying a single word. Miranda Priestly, played by Meryl Streep, was more than a character. She became a cultural symbol. A woman who could end careers with a sigh, who could shift trends with a glance, and who reminded us all that in certain worlds, perfection wasn't optional, it was survival. The story of Sachs, the wide-eyed newcomer who stepped into that whirlwind, resonated because it wasn't just about fashion. It was about ambition, about dreams colliding with reality, about the cost of success. And Hathaway brought Andy to life as a relatable underdog, and through her journey, we got a front-row seat to the price of ambition in a world that rarely forgives mistakes. Fast forward almost 20 years, and the legacy of this film hasn't faded. Memes, quotes, and even the famous cerulean blue monologue still echo online. Fashion students still study it. Fans still debate the ending. Did Andy make the right choice when she walked away? Could Miranda ever truly be replaced? The answers never came, and that silence left a gap. A gap that now, according to whispers from inside Hollywood, may finally be filled. But here's where it gets interesting. The world of fashion today looks nothing like it did in 2006. Back then, magazines held the crown. Editors decided what was in and what was out. A single issue of Runway could shape the season. But today, the battlefield has changed. Social media influencers dominate. Fashion weeks are streamed online. Trends rise and fall overnight on TikTok. The question hanging in the air is, could Miranda Priestly's cold, calculated rule survive in a world where millions of followers can topple a brand with a hashtag? That is exactly why the whispers of a sequel feel so electric. Not just because of nostalgia, but because the stage has evolved. The characters we once loved or feared would be stepping into a new battlefield, one even more cutthroat than before. The thought of Miranda adapting to this new reality, or Andy returning as a powerful figure in her own right, ignites imagination. Would they clash? Would they ally? Or would Miranda, the woman who once defined power, finally face her reckoning in a world she no longer fully controls? This is why people can't stop talking about The Devil Wears Prada 2. It's not just a sequel, it's a confrontation between the past and the present. The elegance of high fashion against the chaos of the digital age. And at the center of it all, the one woman who refuses to fade quietly into memory. Miranda Priestly, the devil who still knows how to wear Prada. When news of The Devil Wears Prada 2 first surfaced, it wasn't through a glossy magazine cover or a dramatic Hollywood announcement. It was quieter, like a ripple spreading through still water. A single report from inside the industry, a whisper of development talks, and suddenly fans across the globe were holding their breath. Could it really be happening? After all these years, after endless fan petitions, rewatches, and nostalgic debates, could the most feared woman in fashion finally be returning to our screens? The truth is, the updates are a tangled mix of what's confirmed, what's hinted, and what's pure speculation. And that's what makes this moment so thrilling. Officially, what we know is that early-stage conversations have been happening. Studio executives recognize the enduring power of the original film, the way it continues to capture attention nearly 20 years later. In Hollywood, legacy isn't enough, longevity is what matters. And The Devil Wears Prada has it in spades. The mere mention of Miranda Priestly's name still commands headlines, but then come the rumors, the kind of whispers that ignite fires in online forums and spread like wildfire across social media. At the center of it all are the actors themselves. Fans want to know, will Meryl Streep return to reclaim her throne as Miranda Priestly? Will Anne Hathaway step back into Andy Sachs' shoes, this time not as the timid assistant, but as a woman who carved her own path? And what about Emily Blunt's unforgettable Emily Charlton, the assistant with biting wit and sharp ambition? According to insider chatter, the discussions haven't been easy. Meryl Streep, after all, rarely revisits old roles. Her portrayal of Miranda was so definitive, so iconic, that even she has admitted the difficulty of stepping back into those heels. Yet the possibility lingers because Miranda without Streep is unimaginable. No one can arch an eyebrow with the same icy precision, no one can weaponize silence quite like her. And if the studio can make the right offer, if the script carries enough weight, the miracle might just happen, and Hathaway, meanwhile, has been more open about her connection to the film. In recent interviews, she acknowledged the cultural impact of The Devil Wears Prada, but she also hinted at curiosity about what Andy would be doing now in this drastically different fashion world. Would she be leading a media empire? Would she be fighting for ethical fashion? Or would she be on the opposite side of Miranda, clashing over the soul of an industry that has changed too much to recognize? Fans are desperate to find out. Then there's Emily Blunt, whose career skyrocketed after the film. Her sharp-tongued, overworked assistant became a fan favorite, and many wonder if Andy was the heart of the story. Could Emily become its future? Rumors swirl that her character might return as a major player, perhaps even running her own fashion empire, shaped by Miranda's icy teachings but reimagined in her own bold style. And while casting speculation dominates headlines, there are also whispers about the storyline itself. Some claim the sequel will explore Miranda's struggle to stay relevant in a world ruled by influencers and fast fashion giants. Others say it will focus on Andy, torn between family, integrity, and the seductive pull of power. A more dramatic rumor suggests a generational clash: Andy's daughter or Emily's protégé stepping into the spotlight, caught between legacy and reinvention. Of course, not all of this is confirmed. Hollywood thrives on secrecy, and right now the official word is silence. But in the shadows, the puzzle pieces are shifting. Costume designers reportedly being contacted. Writers quietly sketching outlines. Negotiations stretching late into the night. Nothing official has been stamped, but the energy feels undeniable. Something is stirring, and it has the fingerprints of Prada all over it. What makes this swirl of confirmed facts and rumors so intoxicating is the uncertainty. It's the tension between what we know and what we don't. And that is exactly the kind of anticipation the fashion world thrives on. Just like the unveiling of a new collection, half the excitement is in the guessing, in the build-up, in the secrecy before the curtain is finally pulled back. So here we are, suspended in the most fashionable kind of limbo. With only fragments to hold on to, fans are left to speculate. Will Miranda rise again, more ruthless than ever? Will Andy return to face her old mentor? Will Emily finally step out of the shadow and into the spotlight? No one knows for sure. But isn't that the point? The devil doesn't just wear Prada, she makes us wait for it. Asterisk. Behind the polished glamour of a potential sequel lies a far more complicated truth. Movies like The Devil Wears Prada don't just happen because of nostalgia, they happen because of power, timing, and strategy. Hollywood is a chessboard, and right now, the pieces are being carefully moved into place. For years, the question lingered: why hasn't there been a sequel yet? The original was a global success, grossing over $300 million worldwide, with Meryl Streep earning an Academy Award nomination and Anne Hathaway cementing her status as a leading star. Normally, those kinds of numbers spark a franchise instantly. Yet for nearly 2 decades, silence. The reason, insiders say, was creative hesitation. The story was so complete, so neatly wrapped, that no one wanted to cheapen its legacy with a sequel that felt forced. But time has a way of reshaping priorities. Today's Hollywood runs on reboots, revivals, and legacy sequels. From Top Gun, Maverick to Sachs and the City's revival, audiences are showing up in droves to revisit beloved stories. The logic is simple. Old fans return, new fans are introduced, and cultural nostalgia becomes a goldmine. In this environment, The Devil Wears Prada 2 feels less like a risk and more like an opportunity waiting to be seized. The studio knows it, the fans know it, and now the machinery is beginning to turn, but Hollywood motivations are only one half of the equation. The other half lies in the world the story would return to, fashion itself. In 2006, the industry was built around glossy magazines, supermodels, and exclusive runways. Today, it is a whirlwind of social media trends, micro-influencers, and global debates about sustainability. Back then, Miranda Priestly's power was absolute, an editor who could make or break careers. But now, editors are fighting for relevance. In an era where a viral TikTok haul can outsell a carefully curated magazine spread. This shift alone gives the sequel a new battlefield. One dripping with conflict and possibility. Imagine Miranda navigating an industry where the power she once wielded so effortlessly has been fractured. No longer the untouchable queen, she might face rivals who aren't shaped by decades of tradition but by algorithms and viral marketing. Her silence and precision, once her deadliest weapons, may not be enough in a world that rewards noise and speed. This sets up a narrative ripe for drama. Can Miranda adapt, or will she be dethroned? Behind the scenes, costume designers are rumored to be salivating at the idea of reinventing the look of this universe. The first film was a masterclass in costume storytelling, and a sequel could push those boundaries further. Sustainability is the buzzword in modern fashion, but can couture coexist with conscious consumerism? These are the tensions the sequel could dramatize through fabric, through color, through every razor-sharp outfit that walks on screen, and then there's the creative tug-of-war. Writers are said to be split between two paths, one that keeps Miranda firmly in the spotlight, and another that shifts focus to Andy or Emily, giving a new generation the stage. Both approaches carry risks. Too much Miranda, and the story might feel repetitive. Too little Miranda, and the audience might revolt. It's the kind of dilemma that fuels late-night studio debates and endless script. Rewrites, casting negotiations add another layer of intrigue. Securing Meryl Streep and Hathaway and Emily Blunt would be a coup, but it comes at a price literally. These are some of the most in-demand actors in the world, and bringing them back requires contracts as sharp and complicated as Miranda's stilettos. Hollywood insiders whisper of agents circling, of studios crunching numbers, of heated debates over billing order and screen time. In other words, the drama isn't just on the page, it's already happening in real life. And let's not forget the directors and producers. The original film was directed by David Frankel, with a script adapted from Lauren Weisberger's novel. But would they return? Or would fresh voices step in to modernize the story for today's audiences? Rumors swirl that new directors with a keen eye for satire and social commentary are being considered. After all, The Devil Wears Prada wasn't just a comedy, it was a critique, a razor-sharp look at ambition and compromise. Any sequel would need to capture that same balance, or risk becoming just another fashion montage. So, when you peel back the glossy surface of this possible sequel, what you find is a storm of competing forces: Hollywood economics, fan expectations, industry evolution, and the monumental challenge of living up to an icon. And yet, that tension might be the very thing that makes it irresistible. After all, isn't fashion itself built on tension, the clash between old and new, tradition and rebellion, elegance and disruption? Behind closed doors, the pieces are moving. The whispers are growing. And while no camera has yet rolled, the backstage drama is already worthy of a film in itself. Asterisk, the runway lights are dimmed. The audience waits in silence. In fashion, the greatest power is not just in the clothes, but in the reveal, the moment when the curtain finally lifts. And that's exactly where we stand with The Devil Wears Prada 2, suspended between what we know and what we hope, between whispers and reality, between legacy and reinvention. Speculation has become its own theater. Some imagine a story where Miranda Priestly, older but no less ruthless, must prove she still has the claws to dominate an industry that has moved on without her. Others dream of Andy Sachs, no longer the naive assistant, but a woman who has built her own empire, ready to stand toe-to-toe with the mentor who once tested her to the breaking point. And then there are those who see Emily sharp, witty, and endlessly ambitious emerging as the true heir to Miranda's icy throne. The possibilities are infinite, and that's what fuels the obsession. But what would make this sequel unforgettable is not just the return of familiar faces. It's the tension of the world they would inherit. In the original film, ambition was framed in terms of glossy spreads, elite designers, and magazine covers that determined the season's worth. In today's world, the battlefield is broader. It is fought on Instagram Reels, TikTok soundbites, red carpet controversies, and hashtags that can dethrone a designer overnight. The sequel, if it comes, has the chance to reflect not just fashion, but the age we live in, faster, louder, more ruthless than ever. Picture Miranda, the queen of silence, walking into this storm of noise. Picture Andy, who once chose her integrity over power, being tempted again by the very world she left behind. Picture Emily, scarred but sharpened by her years under Miranda, now leading her own army of stylists and protégés, fighting to prove that she is no one's assistant anymore. The clash of these characters could be seismic, a drama that doesn't just revisit the past but redefines it. And here lies the brilliance of even the idea of a sequel. It mirrors fashion itself. Trends always return. What was once dismissed as outdated finds new life decades later. A cut, a color, a silhouette revived, reimagined, reborn. The Devil Wears Prada 2 is more than just a film project. It is a cultural comeback. A reminder that some legacies never fade. They wait, they evolve, and then they return with a vengeance. Behind the scenes, Hollywood knows the stakes. Fans are not asking for another lighthearted comedy. They are demanding a story with weight, with edge, with the same bite that made the original unforgettable. They want a Miranda who is even more dangerous, an Andy who is more powerful, and an Emily who is ready to surprise them all. The anticipation is not for a safe return, it's for a reinvention worthy of the name Prada, and so, as we wait, we are left with the most delicious kind of suspense. Every rumor, every leaked whisper, every tiny confirmation feels like a piece of a puzzle we can't quite finish. The studio won't say much. The actors remain coy. But the silence only adds to the allure. Because if Miranda Priestly taught us anything, it's that the greatest power is not in explanation, but in restraint. So we stand here waiting for the reveal. Will Miranda walk the runway one last time? Will Andy return to face her mentor? Will Emily seize her moment under the spotlight? Or will the devil's crown pass to someone entirely new? These questions hang in the air like the final notes of a fashion show. Unresolved, but unforgettable. One thing is certain, whether it arrives next year or lingers just out of reach, the world is ready. Ready to see the runway lit once again? Ready to hear the cutting silence of Miranda Priestly. Ready to ask in unison, the devil wears Prada, but for how much longer? And until the curtain rises, all we can do is wait. Wait for the headlines. Wait for the cast announcements. Wait for that first trailer that will stop the internet in its tracks. The sequel is not yet here, but its shadow already looms over fashion, over film, and over us all. Because the devil may not be back yet, but she is closer than ever.